ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to episode 262 of The Zombie Train. I am your host, Ellis, otherwise known as Train Man, and today we're going to be talking about a locomotive that I nearly forgot about. In fact, I need to go and get the full wording of this question. I may have forgotten to do that real quick, because I was looking up other information. So this was from episode 217, so again, that'll give you guys an idea of where I am in the backlog, which, you know, it's good to have extras. Better that way than the other way around. And it's not here anymore. I don't know. This is the second question, I think, that the wording of it isn't here anymore, and I'm really wondering why that is. But it was about 819. It was asked by Ryan Lobner, again, back on episode 217, and I mentioned a second ago that I had forgotten about it. And the reason why, I guess, is that Pine Bluff, Arkansas, which is where the engine was, along with a couple of other things, was kind of out of the way for us. We stayed mostly north, and when we crossed the country, we really didn't do it that far south. And so it was pretty deep into Zombie Train Incorporated that, you know, I sort of got asked, well, what about Pine Bluff? And I went, what's in Pine Bluff? He said, well, 819's in Pine Bluff. And I went, that's where 819 is? So we went down to Pine Bluff, and it's not in a secluded area at all. It's a very dangerous area to just roll into. And we wanted to go through sort of familiar areas. You know, after Firefall, we knew some people down near New Orleans who were doing some work. You know, they'd sort of built their city up to be zombie-proof after the hurricane had come in and demolished a lot of things. And I don't know if Pine Bluff really felt that hurricane, but there were definitely remnants of some sort of storm damage when we got there. There were a lot of buildings that looked like they had been inundated and stuff like that, and we weren't sure if the museum that's in there had suffered at all from inundation. It turned out to be okay. The transfer table was completely screwed, so we couldn't really get stuff out easily. But other than that, things seemed to be pretty much as they were left. I don't know. You know, I'd assume the town pretty much got wiped off the map by zombies because it's right there on the, you know, not on the. I mean, if it's on the edge of on the Great Plains, it's kind of on the southern edge. It's in a fairly wide open region, and, you know, definitely fell victim to some pretty significant hordes, especially because it's not a small town, and Little Rock, which is not far away, is pretty big as well. So it didn't have a good time, I guess, because we got there and there was nobody to speak for the thing. There were a couple of zombies, and I do mean a couple, which was rare by that point. It was either huge hordes or none at all. And we got there and it was like, okay, 819. And a couple of other things. You know, there was this, you know, what was it? Another little engine that was in there. I'm trying to recall now. I don't know what the hell. There were a bunch of Alcos and stuff. This another Cotton Belt engine. It's 336. Was in there. And that was more apart. And 819 was mostly together. And we sort of went, okay, well, I guess we can make use of these engines. We need to get them out of here first. Because it was, you know, the place was not in proper shape to help restore a locomotive. Again, it was not in a safe area. It was storm damaged by the looks. It was very out of the way from anywhere else that we were conducting operations. And so, sort of the goal was, okay, let's get 819 out at least, and sort of be on our way. And so we got the thing oiled up, and we ended up dragging it a pretty significant distance, if I recall correctly. We dragged it pretty far north, up to, God, where were we working? Where was there a reason? There was some stuff closer to St. Louis that we were using, but I think that was... It wasn't like a museum or a building. It was just an area that we were sending trains through, and they were doing... I don't know. We were using like clay pits and stuff, sediments, because we were making a lot of things out of brick because it's fairly durable and lasts a while. But we ended up taking it out and ended up bringing it somewhere. I don't remember where. I wish I had a map of like all the major locations that we would restore things in that day, but I know it didn't come up to any of the northeast ones. It didn't come back to Strasburg. It didn't come back to Scranton. It didn't, get worked on over there. It must have gone. I talked about Age of Steam and how they weren't, they weren't really equipped for that. I don't know. I couldn't tell you at this point. I don't know where it went. I was told that it would be taken to get restored, and I didn't personally really see it again because it didn't come all the way out east. So, wow, I really should figure out what happened to 819. That is bizarre, and that's interesting now, because I think about it, I did go down there. We went down there via train, and we found this, and I figured, okay, well, this needs to get taken somewhere to get worked on, and I put people in charge of doing that, and then I don't think I saw the engine again. And I definitely didn't see 336 again. So you have to wonder if that's one of the engines that we missed at 336, if we never took it out of that place, if we never went back there, because it's difficult to get stuff out. You can't just roll it out. You have to use that broken transfer table. So, yeah, what the hell happened to 819? I can only assume if I never saw it again, it ended up somewhere out west. Maybe it ran, sort of in the Great Plains area. I doubt it ever went west of Denver. I doubt it got into the Rocky Mountains, but I certainly didn't see it back east again. So I can only assume that it sort of perused these long distance routes, which I guess it would have been good for. It was so late in the Zymoturn Incorporated that by the time we got 819 running, presumably we were already phasing steam engines out. And that's a shame, because from all accounts, 819 was a wonderful engine. And it had a fairly significant excursion career. So you'd think that it would have been one of the ones that popped into my head, and I went, oh, we need 819 as well. Well, we're getting 844, we're getting 611, and we're getting, all these other engines. And, as I said, when we arrived, it was mostly together. It was almost a finished product, and I can only assume that they stopped either because of World War Z or because they ran out of money previously. And I can't, I wanted to talk, I was thinking ahead of time, like, what do I talk about 819, because I can't think of anything, and now I'm realizing why. And, one of the things that did stick in my head is the fact that so many museums had almost completed engines. This was one of them, and they were short on money, and we could provide pretty much anything, but it's not like there were people that were manning the place that could help it. In fact, I'm not sure I ever ran into anybody from that area, which is, it's not too absurd, because a lot of, a pretty significant amount of people just, died and just got zombified. Like, a huge percentage of the population. And I consider myself lucky that I was able to have so many people that I still knew after World War Z. But, so many people were dead, so many families were ripped apart. It's you'd get a small group of people that knew each other and managed to persevere, and then you'd get everyone else they ever knew is dead and gone. And I don't think I knew anyone that knew anything about A19 until whoever suggested that, which I would assume was the same person that ended up in charge of A19. So, yeah, he was doing work out in the Midwest, so I'd assume it ended up out there, which sort of, everything that I'm thinking of sort of confirms the idea that it became a plains runner. And we had quite a few of those, and they were usually either our biggest engines or our fastest engines. The bigger engines, of course, would go farther than that. They'd go through the mountains and stuff. But, bigger engines that were really just speedy engines were almost always plains runners. And 819 would, I guess, be one of them. Would fit into that category. Now we need to figure out where it ended up. After we transitioned over from steam engines primarily, we have a couple left in service, mainly important ones. But we would move them and put them in roundhouses and store them just sort of in case. And there are still people that run engines. I'm not sure if A19 is one of them. I'm going to need to go out and see where the hell A19 is. Because, you'd think, I'm in charge of the place, I would know what the hell's going on. But dealing with literally like a national company, especially having started it in a day and age where communication was especially difficult, we're slowly returning to, almost a pre-internet level of communication where you can call anyone anywhere, but it's difficult to sometimes get a message from place to place, and there really isn't a database of stuff that I can look up or look into, really. At least not one that everyone can edit. We have some files of stuff. God. Gotta find out what happened to 336 as well. Again, if 336 is just an engine that we happen to miss, if 336 never came out of that shop, it may be one of the only engines of its size and above that didn't get restored to work for the Zombie Train Incorporated, which is significant, which is serious, because we restored some engines that were pretty far gone. We ripped everything we could out of Steamtown and used it. Like, I don't get how we missed that. We just never went back. It was at the point where we weren't scrambling so much anymore, even though we had been scrambling for years upon years. Suddenly, right about before 819 was mentioned to me, it was like, okay, we're building things, we're gonna get diesel fuel at some point soon, hopefully, and, things are getting easier. Ugh. If somebody had pointed out 819 to me earlier in the course of the Zombie Train Incorporated, I would have loved to go down there and get that thing out, especially if it was, well, it couldn't have been before the hurricane, because that was before ZT Inc. But especially if it was before, whatever did that damage to that town, I almost called it Little Rock, to Pine Bluff, and Little Rock, I would assume, took some damage as well. Haven't really been back there either. We missed a Northern, and I don't know, it didn't really irk me when that happened, although I don't know why I wasn't. I don't know why I wasn't like, why has nobody mentioned this? Why have we not gone down there? If we had gone down there, 819 probably would have had a career as illustrious as 844s on the Zombie Train Incorporated, because it was almost done. We get there and it's like, it's almost an engine. It's almost finished. Like, we're looking over it and going, okay, there's some work that needs to be done here, and this needs to, work here, but all things considered, we had an engine that was a good, powerful engine that was this close to being complete, and we forgot about it for years. So, that's 819. need to figure out what happened to 336. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next week. Trainman out.